Ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, Shri Piyush Goyal ji.
Namaskar Piyushi and welcome to the Bay Area. I'm Jasleen Khanuja from YoIndiaTV. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you here. So we are really glad that on the technology side, both India and US are in a very good position. So many of the software engineers are here and they have made a mark in USA, so big impact. And likewise, so many of the companies here have their offshore centers in India. So really, I think this is an achievement for all of us. But then when it comes to privatization, for which we are seeing the benefit, especially on the technology side, I see like the government is now trying to promote it in other sectors as well. For example, Air India has gone back to the Tatas very recently. And I'm also hearing that Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, BHEL, which is a Navratna PSU, will also be on sale or being privatized in some time. I don't know, it might not be a correct news, but you can confirm what the status is. And then what I'm actually asking is, like for the PSUs, is the government really thinking about privatization, especially like the SBI, and you are on the board, so no one knows better about SBI than you, and FCI, since you are a food minister as well. So like, what's the plan? What's the government strategy and stand on this?
I think the Honorable Finance Minister has given a very elaborate understanding of the government's thinking on this subject about 2 years ago, when she gave the Atmanirbhar Bharat package. And we are broadly going as per that plan. At appropriate times and at appropriate levels, decisions will be taken for specific privatization of companies. But two things I can certainly confirm: that State Bank of India is considered a strategic investment by the government and will not get privatized at all. Similarly, Food Corporation of India plays an important role in our food security. So it has a role in procurement of food grains to create a buffer stock for our security. It also has an important role in distribution of food grains to the poor and the less privileged sections of society. Therefore, I don't think FCI at any point of time is up for privatization. So these two I can certainly confirm. I'm not so sure whether your information on the other companies you mentioned is correct, but that's for the government to take a decision from time to time. And as and when we take that decision, it's obviously put out in public domain. But the strategy, overall strategy, is to have only strategic sectors where government has an important role to play under government ownership, and as far as possible, even in the strategic sectors, have a limited number of players. That could be by merger of different companies into one or a few entities, or it could be by privatization, but that's a dynamic decision that's taken from time to time.
I was really impressed with your one district, one product initiative, to get every region recognize its characteristics, specialities, and become an export hub. And I know there has been a major export hub, especially in the post-COVID era, and credit goes to you for encouraging especially the labor-intensive industries, and you are from the textiles as well, textile minister as well, and it's pretty labor-intensive, jute and everything, and the exports have remarkably shot up, which is really, really awesome. So in your initiative of ODOP, which district did you really think actually won? Did you ever made a comparison?
It's still work in progress.
We are also soon going to come out with government support schemes to encourage those districts which create a good program to develop their local products. But I must compliment particularly Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. When the One District, One Product program was initiated by Prime Minister Modi, UP picked it up first. And they quickly got their 75 districts, products catalogued, developed profiles, and started handholding their local artisans, making those local products. So there's been some phenomenal work in UP. Another state which did some very good work on this was Tripura.
Wow.
You know, Tripura in the northeast came up with some fancy products, a pineapple the size of which none of us has seen probably, which became a roving hit. Similarly, Bihar came up, one of the districts came up with lychee, which has done extremely well. So I'm amazed at the enthusiasm at the district level. And we've now got the public-private partnership in place, the district officials and the private entrepreneurs, both working together to promote their products. Only last week, I think, I had a launch program of a catalog on One District, One Product, where we had people from all the ministries of the government of India, like MEA does a lot of gifting. So they were there. We have G20 presidency next year. Their officials were there. Officials from tribal ministry were there. Officials from Khadi were there. Officials from MSME were there. So we are doing a great deal of work together, inter-ministerial, to promote this One District, One Product program. That day we came out with a catalog where we've listed out a large number of products from these various districts. It's work in progress, it will keep expanding. And then we are now trying to identify suppliers who we are cataloging. Both of these I'm happy to share with you digitally. It's available digitally. You can just share it with one of you, or Himanshu can share it with all of you.
Thank you.
And look at some of those products. They're just beautiful beyond imagination.
Yeah.
Very affordable. And you know who's our brand ambassador? Prime Minister Modi himself. Because everywhere around the world, when there's an opportunity, or if he's traveling and there's a customary gift exchange, or when world leaders come to India, Prime Minister Modi, Dr. Jaishankar, Nirmala ji, those of us who have to interact with world leaders, all the gifts that are exchanged are always ODOP products.
Awesome.
And that's what we have decided in the government. That gives a recognition for those products internationally. And we try to write the history of the product, because that adds value. And good design and packaging, of course, can multiply the value manifold. So we are trying to get the Institute of Packaging, Indian Institute of Packaging,
Super.
Indian Institute of Design engaged also, National Institute of Fashion Technology, NIFT. All these institutes we are putting together in partnership mode with these One District, One Product.
So your dad, Mr. Piyush Goyal, he had been on the National Treasury of BJP for about 2 decades, and then you were the next, being a chartered accountant and being associated with this kind of a family. It's obvious. So I would just ask you, what is one characteristic of BJP that you and your family love the most? And when you're wearing multiple hats now as a cabinet minister, then how do you handle all these portfolios?
Well, I think the best part of the Bharatiya Janata Party is its outlook towards the country is very, very nationalistic. It's India first, the party next, and the self the last. And the ideology of the party is very, very pro-people. We believe that the last man at the bottom of the pyramid has the first right on the nation's resources. The concept of Antyodaya, or integral humanism articulated by Deen Dayal Upadhyay. We believe the unity and integrity of the country is paramount and are willing to go to any extent to ensure that India provides for all without discrimination a free and fair opportunity to every citizen of the country to prosper. And I think it's an ideology that excited me from my childhood, which is why I joined the party. What also is important to note is that this party recognizes merit. For example, we are very much against dynastic politics. One may very well question me why I say that or how can I say that. I say that because I worked through the party ranks right from 1986 when I was a young man. I worked through the party as a common worker for over a decade or nearly 2 decades while handling many different assignments, but with no position, and certainly no position coming because of my surname. My mother, after 3 terms as a member of Maharashtra's Legislative Assembly, retired from public life in 2004. Suo moto on her own, saying that, well, I'm now 65, I should retire, let some new people get an opportunity. I'll continue to do social work, which she continued to do until her death in 2020.
Super.
But on the condition that I would not be the candidate, even though I was very active. I had fought all the 3 elections for her. But she said, Piyush Goyal will not be the candidate from my area. Her words were over my dead body. She is not going to contest here. Because this is not a right that the family has just because I was an MLA. My father was in public life also. 2 terms in the Rajya Sabha. Finished his terms in 2008 and passed away in 2008. Well before I even came to Delhi as a member of parliament. I came to Delhi in 2010 as an MP. 6 years after my mother had retired, 2 years after my father had passed away. I was chosen by the party. I would like to believe on my merit. I had nobody to be my godfather in 2014. But Prime Minister Modi decided to give me a responsibility.
Awesome.
I do hope on my merit and I continue to serve on merit. Friends, India is changing and I do believe it's changing for the better. It's much more confident today. It's much more self-reliant. It engages with the rest of the world from a position of strength. Yet, it's a dissatisfied India. And that's how we want it to be. The day any of us feels we are very satisfied, everything is hunky-dory, everything is great, I think that will be the end of all evolution, all development, all innovation. All newness will be over. And therefore, as much as you get, that much more your desire increases. I think several initiatives have been taken up, including our focus on ease of doing business, the lower corporate tax that I just mentioned to encourage investments into India. We have our own semiconductor policy to promote semicon, to promote investments in semiconductor. It's actually much larger than the American plan. It's a $76 billion government incentive program. From whatever little detail I have of chips, it draws a lot from what the Indian program was, which we announced about 7-8 months ago. So their 40 billion plan also is talking about 50% or so of the capex being financed by the government and similar other initiatives. And that's about the level of funding that the Indian government is also giving for any investments on semiconductor. Similarly, on 13 other sectors, we've come up with the production-linked incentive scheme to promote large-scale capacities or large factories with the global scale of operation in different sectors, and try and offer support to companies who want to relocate or invest in India to be a part of resilient supply chains amongst trusted partners. So we are conscious that there is an opportunity. We're trying to attract and woo investments to come to India, particularly in manufacturing. India offers a huge market potential, which makes it very attractive to invest in India, to enjoy the fruits of economies of scale, benefits of a huge talent pool, skilled manpower, skilled STEM graduates, skilled engineers, and simultaneously helping produce for the rest of the world and becoming part of supply chains which want to work with each other, with trust each other. So I see a lot of potential from what you just mentioned. Government is seized of it, and one of the reasons why I've come to Frisco instead of just going to Los Angeles for the IPEP meetings and flying back is to convey this message to all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Well, I am one of those who believes that the Indian currency should become stronger. I do not believe that our Indian exports need the artificial clutches of a depreciating or a weak rupee to become competitive. We have to be competitive on our own strength of our quality, the strength of our productivity, the strength of the value proposition that we bring to the table. But unfortunately for us, few of our critical inputs, for example, crude oil for petrol and diesel, or natural gas, also in a large way edible oils and pulses. Like that, we have a certain set of essential imports which are totally unavoidable. In addition to that, for a growing economy, imports of machinery or machine tools, electrical equipment, all of that also becomes very crucial for our economic development. Lastly, the electronic age has caught up with all of us, so there's a lot of imports of electronic products. We are making every effort. We also have a PLI on mobile phones, for example, and Apple has started manufacturing in a big way in India amongst other mobile instrument manufacturers. But we still continue to be largely an import-dependent country, and our imports far exceed our exports, even when you aggregate both goods and services. Remittances that many of you send home are an absolutely wonderful source of foreign currency. We have over $90 billion of remittances coming from all over the world. Not so much from America, but more from, let's say, places like Middle East. And those help to bridge this gap. Otherwise, the rupee would have depreciated even more. Having said that, the government is doing a deep thrust on increasing exports. Our services exports are also galloping fast, so helping to reduce the trade deficit which comes out of goods. We are looking at encouraging newer modes of transport, for example, the electric vehicles, and maybe going forward, hydrogen-powered vehicles. We also are doing ethanol blending in petrol, 10% now. 3 years later, hoping to take it to 20%. and at some stage increasing further to have flexi engines like Brazil, some of which can go up to 99% ethanol, which is very environmentally friendly. So we are making a series of, we are trying to increase our pulses and oilseeds production in India. We are making every effort to, under the Atmanirbhar Bharat package, the effort to become self-reliant, self-sufficient, and a self-confident economy with energy security, with food security, with fertilizer security. Another large import is today fertilizers, where we're setting up 4 or 5 more plants to become self-sufficient. Simultaneously, we are encouraging organic farming and natural farming, so that the amount of chemical and fertilizer we put into the soil can be reduced and actually save the country and its people, save the country from deterioration of our soil values, and save the people from the amount of fertilizer and chemical residue that we put into our system through the fruits and vegetables and grains that we consume. So it's a very holistic plan which we are working on, which in a period of time hopefully will give us trade surpluses instead of trade deficits. IT industry is doing us proud with very rapid growth rates. Goods, as we do a little bit of import substitution and expand our exports, should also give us a better trading portfolio. And once we are in the phase where we start getting trade surpluses, coupled with our remittances, coupled with large foreign direct investments that come into the country, I'm very, very confident that in a period of time you will see the rupee start appreciating. Traditionally, we've seen departments or ministries in the government of India, just like any other bureaucracy or government across the world, talk to each other through files and memos and notes. Prime Minister Modi for the last 8 years has been very focused on trying to break the silos and look at greater cohesive working within the government. For example, the Commerce Ministry and the Foreign Ministry would never really engage with each other. Commerce job was to do trade, Foreign Ministry's job was to do geopolitical or maintain foreign relations. Prime Minister Modi broke that silo. Today, every officer of the Foreign Ministry posted anywhere in the world is being benchmarked. One of their KPIs is the 3 T's: trade, technology and tourism. So Dr. Prasad will be checked for his performance with how many tourists he can send from here to India, how many new technologies he's able to get into India from here, and obviously what the export performance is from India to his region. And this concept is a first. It breaks the silos between commerce and foreign ministry. Of course, with a minister like Dr. Jaishankar, who's just absolutely fabulous to work with. In any case, there's no silo. You just pick up the phone and engage with him and talk to him and sort out things on the phone. So last night, he and I were on the call maybe 7 or 8 times on different issues. After I left from the last meeting, we've had a series of calls exchanged between him and me. Then he talked to the finance minister on some issue, then got back to me. So we were just sorting out an issue related to Singapore, right? And that's how this government works now. We just pick up the phone and talk to our colleagues and sort things out. The paperwork can follow. I just got a file in the car which needed my approval, and I preferred to refer it to Amit Bhai, the Honorable Home Minister, for his guidance. So that note will be put up to him tomorrow morning. I hope to receive his guidance by the time I'm up tomorrow morning, our time here in the Bay Area, and we would have sorted out an important issue systemically. It's not just a one-off decision. I need a systemic decision to be taken. So I prefer to take guidance from my seniors. That's the way Indian government today is working. A lot of coordination, a lot of small interactions within us ministers in small groups. Officers are being encouraged to break the silos, pick up the phone and talk to each other rather than move papers and file notes all the time. And more often than not, we find things are resolved better on the phone than through a file. But I would encourage you to please flag off with us if on any issue you feel that better interministerial coordination is required. For example, I was just told about the ESOP issue. Now, I didn't say, I'm sorry, it's not my issue, it's to be dealt with by finance. I'll talk to my elder sister Nirmala ji, sort it out with her, try to get an understanding on the subject which will help startups all over the world. We couldn't afford Pfizer's $38 or Moderna's $40 vaccines. We had to develop it for the large population. But you know what? We didn't have the supply chain. Pharma companies were not willing to give us the inputs. And a lot of it had to come from the US. So when Prime Minister Modi called up President Biden, he said the US will certainly ensure uninterrupted supplies of whatever it takes for you to produce your vaccines. And why did he do that? Because he recognized that India was not selfish. India shared its vaccines with the rest of the world, with the needy countries. We gave vaccines to COVAX. We gave vaccines to the Pacific Island countries. We gave vaccines to the Caribbean nations. We gave vaccines to African nations who couldn't afford expensive vaccines. I'm sharing all this with you because the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam concept that you and I are all proud of. When we say the world is one family, we demonstrate it by our action. And that's the goodwill that is holding India in good stead. That's the goodwill that is earned by Prime Minister Modi by his humongous efforts of the last 8 years, building bridges, building friendships, building relationships. And all of you are our ambassadors. All of you are the ones who carry this message. All of you are the ones who live Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam in your daily lives. And thank you for the phenomenal work that you're doing. Thank you for giving back to India through your work, through your investments, through your technologies, through your partnerships, through your mentorship. From India, a big thank you. And going forward, I do hope this partnership will continue. We've initiated a program this year which I'll speak about and conclude. We have an effort being made in India to promote products from across the country through a one district, one product program. Every district in India, and we have 740 of them, has unique products to offer. So Patan district has Patola saris, the ladies probably will recognize better. We have Kanchivaram saris from down south in Tamil Nadu. We have Moradabad brassware, which is very famous. We have a mango from different parts of the country. I was in Somnath, Gir Somnath and Junagadh last week, which has the Gir Kesari mango, right? Gir Kesar Amba or Ambi or whatever it's called. Each district has unique offerings. We have filigree art in some part of India. We have some knitted beautiful carpets from Kulu or Jammu Kashmir. We are appealing to every Indian, in India and across the world. Can you commit yourselves to trying and using some of these indigenous, domestically made, artisan-oriented products, which will provide livelihood and incomes to crores and crores of Indian weavers, artisans, people who are engaged with khadi, people who are engaged with the textile sector. If you can all commit yourselves to using Indian products for your gifting requirements on Thanksgiving, Christmas, Diwali, Dasara, Bhai Dooj, New Year, enough and more weddings. We are seeing a rush of weddings this coming season because of the backlog post-COVID. Can we all, and instead of giving your Ferragamos and Louis Vuittons or whatever else each one of us in different ways uses, can we look at some Indian products as a part of your wedding gifting, as a part of your Diwali gifting, as a part of your New Year gifting? Imagine how big that contribution can be if the 30 million Indian diaspora worldwide also starts buying Indian products for your requirements. So thank you, friends. Just a parting request at the end. As I said initially, there's no free lunch or free dinner. So I do hope to receive your support in our efforts to make India a developed nation by 2047, when we'll all collect to celebrate India's 100th anniversary of independence. Just like each one of you participated, I'm told, with full gusto in the celebrations of India at 75, the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Let's all go for it. The next 25 years, the Amrit Kal is going to be the defining period for India's economic history. And we do hope to see a developed nation, a prosperous nation in the next 25 years.
Thank you so much, Honorable Piyush, for that inspiring, insightful and educative speech.